The time is now 5:30. The day is February the 21st, 2023. We will call the meeting to order for the City of Statesboro Mayor and Council meeting. We will have our invocation and pledge of allegiance by Councilmember John Riggs.
Thank you, please. Dear Lord, thank you for this day. Thank you for allowing us all to come here today and do your work, make you proud, make you happy. We ask that you bless all of us as we enter into your work and do things good for our citizens and the community at large. In your name we pray.
Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll move down to public comments. Leah, we have two for public comments.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, and we have Mr. Marshall Webster speaking on agenda item 14. Public comments are limited to 2 minutes. Mr. Marshall.
2 minutes? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Council members, friends and neighbors, I ask you to reject the placement of the Litchfield Memorial marker on city property. This proposed marker is just another blatant attempt on the part of professional race hustlers to stir up racial animus to further their own political ends, enhance their reputations, and line their pockets. The public is already well aware of what went on in generations long past. Public school and university indoctrination, mainstream media, and the entertainment industry have made sure of that. I submit that it's time for people who take it upon themselves to be the leaders and mouthpieces for the black community to direct their efforts towards encouraging black people to set their own house, their own culture in order, instead of directing it at us white people. Last year, almost 10,000 black people were killed by other black people by gun violence. Yet you want to focus your efforts on 8 people who were lynched over a century ago. Although blacks only comprise 13% of the population, they commit 50% of all murders, 50% of all burglaries, and 30% of all aggravated assaults. Address the black 75% illegitimacy rate. Urge your people to breed responsibly and teach your children to be productive citizens. That is, if you really care about your people instead of your own reputations and your own pocketbooks. As a white man, I, for one, am tired of the blight and burden, black lawlessness, and government dependency imposed upon America. Race hustlers, your kind is wearing thin. People are starting to wake up, find an honest, productive endeavor. Politicians, stop pandering to race hustlers. You may think you're shrewd politicians, you may think it's a clever ploy, but people are starting to wake up and see through it. I thank you for your kind attention.
All right. Next on the agenda, we have Mr. Matt, and Matt, I'm going to mess up your last name. It's Jerry. Garrett.
Close enough.
Like Lou Garrett. Like Lou.
Yeah.
And to be reminded, you have 2 minutes.
Thank you. Appreciate you creating this forum for us. Apparently, I am a race hustler also, but I am speaking in favor of what Adrian so eloquently put earlier. I'm the newest member of the Remembrance Coalition, and I wouldn't be here today in support of this resolution if it had not been for my family sticking around for the Eagles Bowl game in Montgomery, Alabama earlier in December. Unfortunately, it was a loss, but we'll get over it. We visited the National Peace and Justice Memorial, and it was an extremely powerful experience. If you have been or not been, I encourage you to go again or go for the first time. It will go far in explaining why we are humbly in front of you today asking for this. The need to confront Statesboro's history of racial inequality is more urgent than ever. We are 120 years late acknowledging these deep scars that fractured our community. The EJI created their online template for local community leaders to begin confronting these dark chapters in 2017. Please help them make a significant step today. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move down to agenda item 4, which is consideration of a motion to approve consent agenda. The consent agenda includes the approval of the minutes for the February the 7th council minutes, as well as the February the 7th executive session. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right, let's show that agenda item 4 has passed. We move down to agenda item 5, which is a public hearing consideration of a motion to approve application RZ 23-01-01. Simco Investment Group requests a zoning map amendment from the R15 single family residential zoning district to the R2 townhouse residential district zoning district in order to develop a townhouse development on Kiwanis Road. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Kathy, if you would.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'd like to bring to your attention, though, that there is a typo in that notice for public hearing, and it should read as follows, that the applicant, Simco Investment Group, pardon me, requests a zoning map amendment from the CR, Commercial Retail Zoning District, to the R2 Townhouse District, rather than the R15, okay? Specifically, the applicant is seeking to develop approximately 35 townhome units on approximately 6.81 acres of property. The development is one of 2 the developer has proposed on Kiwanis Road. The provided plan is preliminary and has not been reviewed for adherence to all city standards, but the project has been discussed with all relevant departments within a Right Start meeting. And you can see the proposed parcel outlined in red along Kiwanis Road. The back of it is the Veterans Memorial Parkway. The future land use map shows this to be within a developing urban neighborhood area. The current zoning, as mentioned, is shown as CR, Commercial Retail. The subject property is on the top left. The property to the north is on the bottom right. The property to the south is on the top left. And the property to the east is on the bottom right. This is a conceptual plan of what this townhome development would look like. Staff does recommend approval of RZ 23-01-01. If this petition is approved by the mayor and city council, it should be subject to the applicant's agreement to the following enumerated conditions. 1, approval of the zoning map amendment does not grant the right to develop on the site without approval. All construction must be approved by the city. 2, the applicant must utilize GDOT metrics for the inclusion of right-left turn lanes on Kiwanis Road and shall ensure adequate site distance is provided. 3, an ADA compliant sidewalk must be provided along Kiwanis Road on the side of the property to ensure future connection to the road from the development. At the regularly scheduled meeting of the Planning Commission on Tuesday, February 7th, 2023, the Commission recommended approval of the zoning map amendment and staff conditions on a 4-0 vote, with the inclusion of the following additional condition. 4, the applicant must provide a traffic study on the project to determine additional traffic calming measures for the project. That is my presentation, sir.
Thank you, Kathy. Is there anyone here to speak for the request? Is there anyone here to speak?
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. I'm Alec Metzger with EMC Engineering. We're representing the developer on the project, and we ask that you approve this tonight. We did a concept plan with the new ordinance. We meet that or exceed it. We have the needed community open space. These will be fee simple lots, so each lot is individual property, so it could be sold or rented depending on what's going on in the neighborhood. There will be public streets, city utilities, sidewalks, street lights, and we do accept the conditions from the planning and zoning meeting. We'll be glad to answer any questions you may have.
Okay. All right, be sure you're available for council discussion. All right, is there anyone here to speak against the request? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we're gonna open it up for council discussion. Any discussion by council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Field reminded me, this is over the 5 acres, so they'll have to have 10% amenities. They're aware of all of that. And of course, the 15% green space that all the new developments have to have.
That is correct. The amenity space may overlap the green space, however, and again, that will be all decided as the finalized site plan goes through its review.
Okay, and so that was something else that I just became aware today. The council can approve a zoning change, but then when it gets closer to completion, it comes back for final approval, or we've got another one coming up later that we're looking at for the second time. What's the difference?
No, it won't come back. What you're approving is the zoning change, and then based on the city's development regulations, we will make sure indeed that it is developed in accordance with said regulations.
Okay, but the one over behind the Jeep dealership is coming back to us, even though we're already rezoned it.
Well, yes, it's coming back because it's a subdivision, it's a preliminary plat, because it contains more than 4 parcels. So that's why it's coming back. It's a subdivision plan, it's not a zoning. There is a difference. Once it gets zoned, before they can get their building permits, they must subdivide the property according to our rules, including the roads and the setbacks and whatever.
Okay, thank you.
All right. You're welcome.
Yeah. There is a property behind this, sandwiched between this and the trail. How are we gonna manage access to that property you can't put a road on the trail anymore. It's a walking trail.
Right.
So who has to provide access to that piece of property from Kiwanis Road? Because certainly they weren't gonna be able to have access from Veterans Memorial Parkway. So
That's something that we would look at as we finalize.
when we do the plat,
Pardon me?
when we do a plat,
When we do the plat, sure, that can be on there, but we'll probably look at that even the plat, just to finalize what the site plan is going to look like.
okay.
Any further discussion by council?
Yes, I have one other thing. As far as the traffic study is concerned, honestly, isn't that something the city needs to do with considering all the development along Kiwanis Road? Why are we putting that on the developer of this relatively small parcel comparatively to the rest of the street?
Well, at the planning commission meeting, we did have concern expressed by several of the neighbors who did express a concern in regard to the traffic. Now, but both of these developments are on Kiwanis Road, as you know. So we did ask the developer if he would be willing to assume the cost for a traffic study, and he did agree to that condition at that time.
So, Mr. Mayor, or Mr. Boyum, the fact that it's right there on that curve maybe is some justification because it's additional concern or additional danger maybe with the entrance into this new development.
My point is Kiwanis Road has been undersized for a long time.
I agree.
And to just put an additional traffic study on this particular person, considering the amount of stuff we've already developed very closely to that piece of property. seems inappropriate to put it on this particular person. But Charles, you look like you're about to say something.
Yeah, I was gonna just say, typically, the cost of a traffic impact analysis is more by the developer, it's not done by the city. And so that would be a new approach for us, start now doing traffic analysis. But normally, the developer bears that responsibility and the cost of doing the traffic impact analysis. And they share that information with us. But that would be new policy if council wants us to now start doing traffic impact analysis.
Any further
I
discussion?
guess my point was like Kiwanis Road.
I know, and help me out, it's part of Kiwanis, city, some in the county.
Right.
And we got some work to do, Mr. Boyd, because we got a lot of development coming, and you've heard me say this. And we do need to use some of our T-SPLOS to help, not so much on traffic impact analysis, but part of, we get ready to do a transportation master plan. And so that will address some of these things, but we also need to work on widening roads to accommodate this road.
Well, and Kiwanis is not even so much a widening, it's just the road, the way the thing was built was not designed for the traffic it had, not even close. So, I mean, and that's just one of many roads that are in this situation, especially on that southeast side of the city. You know, we have to be careful what we annex, because as soon as we annex both sides of the street, we're responsible for that section of the street.
Sure.
So, that's why, like, on stuff like this, I make sure we bring that up, because, anyway, okay. Well, I appreciate you bringing that up. I just feel like Kiwanis Road in particular is one that I realize that the citizens that live near there, but I mean, we've approved a lot of
A
stuff
lot
on
of
that road.
developments in that
So
area.
it's hard for us to put it on somebody who's doing something as small as this. That's just my thought.
Well, what will this, how far will this study entail? All the way from Burkhalter to Highway 80, or will it be? The transportation master plan, that's gonna look. Well, no, I mean the.
Traffic study.
This traffic study, all of Kiwanis Road? He's gonna help us.
No, they'll do it, it's fine.
Yes, so typically it is, you look at the developed area, the entrances to the development, and then, you know, the immediate.
Okay, so you won't be going from Burkhalter to.
No, and so what that does is it'll tell us what kind of turn lanes we may need in and out of the development. If we need right turns or left turn lanes, if we need to line up some of the driveways to make it more efficient. So it's mainly to tell you what impact. So we'll usually run it, and it'll be you know, future projections of some growth rate into the future for 10 years, and then you compare that with development and without the development, and so you kind of get a baseline of what the road can handle, or what is seeing with and without the development, and then you recommend improvements to you know, not make it any worse or help it in that future situation. So no, it's not going to study all of Kiwanis Road. So I think, like with your transportation master plan, you know, some communities, instead of us doing a plan specifically, you know, sometimes the developers contribute on some kind of pro rata share of a development study, or put money toward it instead of doing individual studies for everything. So you know, that's just another way to look at it. But hope that helped.
Appreciate it.
Any further discussion by council?
Mr. Mayor, Mr. Boyer's point about access to the trail, it looks like that's the area that may be wetlands anyway on that end of it.
Yeah, so I don't think that, so the wetlands we show up there come onto our property, and pretty much all of that piece that's in between us and the trail.
Sure.
We haven't had a full-blown delineation done yet, so we don't know exactly where that line is. But it doesn't have access now, I guess. But we can look at,
I
seeing
just
how
didn't know if
that,
that was gonna be a concern or not.
yeah.
Okay.
So I do have one more point to make, don't forget that one of the conditions includes having a sidewalk along Kiwanis Road. So that could, along the entire length of this proposed development. So that would eventually connect up to the trail as well via the sidewalk.
And it might be that one of the amenities could be coming from the back of it to the trail too. That would be an advantage to residents.
Right, and we'll look at that.
Thank you.
And Kevin, what was that correction, CR1? CR2?
It went from the R15 to the CR.
CR?
Yeah, it should be the CR.
All right, any further discussion by council? Senate, there's no further discussion by council. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we move down to agenda item 6. This is a public hearing, consideration of a motion to approve application RZ 23-01-02. Simple Investment Group requests a zoning map amendment from the, and I'm assuming this is need to be corrected as well, CR zoning district to the R2 Townhouse Residential District zoning district in order to develop a townhouse development on Kiwanis Road. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Kathy, if you would.
Yes, and if I may make a correction again, this one is actually correct from the R15 to the R2. Okay, it was the first one
Okay.
that was incorrect. So the applicant requests a zoning map amendment from the R15 Single Family Residential Zoning District to the R2 Townhouse Residential Zoning District in order to conduct an approximately 71-unit townhome subdivision on 9.69 acres. Currently, this property is a large undeveloped lot near S&S Railroad Bed Road. The development proposes to establish a single through road connected into Kiwanis Road and estimates preservation of the majority of the existing wetlands in the area. The plan as shown is in draft form and has not been reviewed for adherence to all city standards, but has been discussed with all relevant departments via a right start meeting. So you can see the parcel outlined in red, and it's just to the south of the other parcel, which is just up above it in that triangular green space area under the word location map. So that's where the other one is. Future land use map shows this to be in a developing urban neighborhood area. The zoning shows this to be in the R15 single family residential zone. The subject property is shown on the top left. The property to the northeast is shown on the bottom right. The property to the southeast showing the school is on the top left, and the property to the east showing the church is on the bottom right. And this is a proposed site plan for this development. Staff does recommend approval of RZ 23-01-02. If this petition is approved by the mayor and city council, it should be subject to the applicant's agreement to the following enumerated conditions. 1, approval of the zoning map amendment does not grant the right to develop on the site without approval. All construction must be approved by the city. 2, the applicant must utilize GDOT metrics for the inclusion of right, left turn lanes on Kiwanis Road and shall ensure adequate site distance is provided. 3, an ADA compliant sidewalk must be provided along Kiwanis Road on the side of the property to ensure future connection to the road from the development. At the regularly scheduled meeting of the Planning Commission on Tuesday, February 7th, 2023, the Commission recommended approval of the zoning map amendment and staff conditions on a 4-0 vote with the inclusion of the following condition. Number 4, the applicant must provide a traffic study on the project to determine additional traffic calming measures for the project. That is my presentation, Mr. Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Does anyone here to speak for the request?
Alec Metzger with EMC Engineering. This is a very similar to the last one. The concept plan is done in relation to your ordinance, so we meet or exceed everything in the ordinance when it comes to community open space and green space, and also density. So we ask for approval, and I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Okay, please make yourself available for council discussion. All right, is there anyone here to speak against the request? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to close the hearing?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll open it up for council discussion. Any discussion by council?
Are these, gonna look just like the ones on the other?
Yes, sir.
Thanks.
Any further discussion by council? All right, seeing
So,
that.
Mr. Mayor, I hate seeing trees cut down, and we got a lot more people moving to Bullock County. And so what I'm hearing is that townhomes is the most efficient, quick, inexpensive way to get more housing available. So that's why we're getting so many townhomes applications before us. Sound right to you? Anybody disagree with that? I mean, that's why we need them, right?
Yes and no.
Well, I mean, if they're owner occupied, certainly.
Yeah.
But
I mean, but unfortunately, from a state perspective, there's no way to mandate that. We are not allowed.
But the way that you're structured or intend to structure, it can be rented or sold. You were saying fee simple?
Yes,
Is that
ma'am.
right?
So your intent is to sell them, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
So each lot, instead of it being like an apartment building, each townhome will be its own unit with its own lot. So whether it's sold or rented out, depending on market conditions. But yes, each one could be sold.
Okay. And the two parcels are on either side of those two brick homes that are right there?
Yes, ma'am.
So that it's not including those will remain as far as you know.
Yes, ma'am.
But the second larger one is directly opposite Sally Zerrower School.
That's correct.
So it's gonna be some traffic calming needed to get in and out in the mornings. Thank you. That was it. Thank you.
No problem. All right, any further discussion by council? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve? Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we move down to agenda item 7, which is public hearing and consideration of motion to approve application SUB 23-01-03 Woodford Station LLC request preliminary plat approval of a 3-phase 172 lot townhouse subdivision on 17.78 acres on a property located at 7130 Veterans Memorial Parkway. Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Right, Kathy, if you will.
Thank you. The applicant requests preliminary plat approval for the Woodford Station subdivision. This property is currently vacant and is one of the first approved zoning map amendments with the R2 Townhouse Residential Zoning District. This parcel is comprised of 17.76 acres. This property has been slated to yield 172 housing units and would consist of a 3-phase development in order to ensure housing construction upon completion of roads. The roads are listed as private and will consist of fee simple lots for the units. The project has received staff review at this time, and the preliminary plat as presented meets all requirements regarding development. Now, this is the parcel, and as you remember, it was previously rezoned, and it's behind the Chrysler dealership. And the current land use map shows it to be in an emerging business area. The current zoning map, because it was previously rezoned, is now R2. And you can see the subject site on the top left. Property to the south is on the bottom right. Property to the west is on the top left, and the property to the east is on the bottom right. And this shows the preliminary plat with the 3 phases as they're proposing. Now, the preliminary plat is required after the zoning, before the building permit. And it comes to the council because it's more than 4 parcels. If it's less than 4 parcels, the mayor and I have the ability to sign off on a minor subdivision. This is a preliminary plat. Once you approve the preliminary plat, the mayor and I then have the ability to sign off on the final plat. So it's a 2-phase approval process, okay?
What does parcel mean in this case?
Each individual lot. So this is going to be subdivided per each of these townhomes, because each of these townhomes is going to be fee simple, which means it can be sold off individually.
Okay. I'm not trying to hold up the process, I'm trying to understand the distinctions, and I don't understand why we do on the big one here, but we don't on the others that we just approved. They're gonna be more
Well,
than
because
4.
that's only the zoning, but there's a whole process that you go through for development. That was the zoning, then this is the subdivision, and then the building permit comes. And in between that, they have a land disturbance permit and a demolition to some extent sometimes. So there's a whole development process that goes through, and each part of the process gets staff review to make sure they're following the appropriate regulations.
Okay, well, I can get educated separately, you don't need to hold up the procedures.
So that is my presentation.
Thank you, Ken.
Okay.
All right, is there anyone here to speak for the request?
I'm Jeb Stewart, Maxwell Redkin Associates, representing this project. We are here to request approval of this preliminary plat, and I'm here to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
Just make yourself available for council. All right, is there anyone here to speak against the request? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right, we want to open it up for council discussion.
Has the fire department looked at it? Are they happy with how much access they have? They will have to all these houses? I don't see the chief in here. I see you there. He's here.
Yeah, okay.
Taking a nap again? That was a joke, y'all.
Yes, sir.
Hey, chief, this place, next to, behind Chrysler Jeep. Is that enough access to all these 170-something houses?
I'm assuming so.
To you guys?
With our prevention division reviewed it and did not bring any concerns to me, so I'm assuming that is something that they look at.
Perfect.
So I'm not aware of any concerns.
Okay, 'cause, you know, Whispering Pines, we had all that trouble. Gotcha. Okay, that's all I want to know. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
And I just say, I know when staff was reviewing this, they were concerned about having access from 2 different directions. And the initial conversation was also looking at a traffic impact analysis, because this is behind that Chrysler dealership. And then would, that traffic would have to dump out on Veterans Memorial Parkway. And so your concern is a valid concern, but the staff has been looking at that, so it's a legitimate concern.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further discussion by council?
Yes, I'm sorry. You know what, I got way late with my discussion here, and I did not give my staff recommendations, so with your concurrence, I would like to do that. Okay. Staff recommends approval of subdivision 23-01-03. If this petition is approved by the mayor and city council, it should be subject to the applicant's agreement to the following enumerated conditions. 1, approval of this preliminary plat does not grant the right to construct any homes without approval from the city. 2, all street lighting must meet city standards and be approved by the city. 3, utility easements included but not limited to right-of-way, water, sewer, gas, etc. must be granted to the city as deemed necessary by the Department of Engineering and Public Utilities. 4, the final plat must meet all requirements of Article 3 of the City of Statesboro zoning ordinance before being presented to the city for approval and before any houses may be sold in the phased expansion of the subdivision. At the regularly scheduled meeting of the Planning Commission on Tuesday, February 7, 2023, the commission recommended approval of the preliminary plat and staff conditions on 4-0 vote. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kay. Any further discussion by council?
Mr. Mayor, just one clarification. I see that it's phase one, but we're seeing all three phases. So we approving all three, or does it come back again?
No, you are approving all three as a preliminary plat.
Okay, thank you.
Any further discussion by council? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
We'll move down to agenda item 8, which is consideration of a motion to acknowledge council receipt of annexation petition by Woody Royal for 2.7 acres of property located on Old Register Road, parcel 076-000001001, and to direct city clerk to investigate and certify the sufficiency of the petition filed. Mr. Kay.
Yes, I believe that these will subsequently go into the consent agenda. However, they have been put on the regular agenda, so with your concurrence, I will respond to these. The Department of Planning and Development has reviewed a petition of annexation from Woody Royal for a 2.27 acre property located on Old Register Road. The applicant seeks to annex into the city and zone the property CR Commercial Retail in order to develop the property. And you can see the map right there, and it's a small parcel outlined in blue. Staff does recommend that council provide certification of this receipt of petition so that it may be analyzed and put forth for recommendation at the regularly scheduled March 21st, 2023 City Council meeting. That is my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Kay. Any discussion by council?
So, Mr. Mayor, we're voting on the annex and the zoning, or right now it's just acknowledging that we
This is the first time that we're doing.
just wanted to confirm.
Yeah, so, Councilman, when we send that notification to the county, the county could notify their residents if we want. This just, by putting it on the agenda, now we're letting the general public know that, hey, this annexation is coming down the pike. Now, if it's 100%, I mean, honestly, most people won't really be able to say anything anyway, because it's if you own the property and you're contiguous to the city, you can annex in if you want to. That's just how it is. But this just gives I think, we're just trying to be good, public, transparent servants and trying to get this information out to the people so they don't see the zoning sign in their yard as the first instance that the annexation is coming. Or already happened.
And King, there's no action, correct?
Just simple, I think y'all acknowledge receipt by discussing.
Okay.
But y'all do need to direct city clerk to certify the petition though. So there is an action there.
Okay.
But they need to do that by motion.
Yeah, they just make a motion to direct city clerk.
All right,
to
is there a
certify.
motion to direct city clerk to certify? Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. We move down to agenda item 9, which is consideration of a motion to acknowledge council receipt of annexation petition by S&K Investments for 1.72 acres of property located on Old Register Road, and to direct city clerk to investigate and certify the sufficiency of the petition filed. Okay.
Yes, thank you. The Department of Planning and Development has received a petition of annexation from S&K Investments LLC for a 1.72 acre property located on Old Register Road. The applicant seeks to annex into the city and zone the property CR Commercial Retail in order to develop the property. And you can see the map here. This parcel is directly to the north of the parcel that we just certified previously. Staff recommends that council provide certification of this receipt of petition so that it may be analyzed and put forth for recommendation at the regularly scheduled March 21st, 2023 City Council meeting. That is my presentation. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Kay. Any discussion by council? All right, seeing that there's none, is there a motion to direct our city clerk to certify?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we move down to agenda item 10, consideration of a motion to approve resolution 2023-08, a resolution to impose a 6-month moratorium on processing and consideration of assigned variance requested pursuant to Article 15 of Appendix A of the Statesboro Code of Ordinances. Mr. Penny.
Mayor, members of the council, if you remember, we currently have a moratorium in place on the billboard signs, and we anticipate that in June or July, no later than July, that the new zoning ordinance with new sign ordinance will be in place. So we are hopeful this will be the last extension of this moratorium. But we do recommend approval of the extension of the moratorium.
Thank you. Any discussion by council? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right, we move down to agenda item 11, consideration of a motion to approve resolution 2023-09, a resolution amending the job position classification and compensation plan for community information specialists in the Statesboro Police Department. Mr. Penny.
Mayor, members of the council, police chief had asked us to look at and evaluate the position of the community information specialist, and we sent that position to be evaluated to Condrey and Associates, and the recommendation was to reclassify that position from pay grade 12 to a pay grade 14. And city council is required to, in order for that to occur, you must approve the reclassification. We do recommend the approval of the new classification. This position is currently vacant, but it does allow us to be able to offer a little bit more money to someone if they should apply. But we do recommend it too.
Any discussion by council? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we move down to agenda item 12, consideration of a motion to approve resolution 2023-10, a resolution amending the job position classification and compensation plan for record supervisor in the Statesboro Police Department. Mr. Penny.
Again, Mayor and Council, Chief Broadhead again asked us to review the position of the record supervisor, and we did that, and we asked Condrey and Associates to review the position. And again, they recommended reclassification from a pay grade 12 to a pay grade 14. This position is currently occupied, and so we do recommend approval of the new pay grade for this position of record supervisor.
Thank you. Any discussion by council? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we move down to agenda item 13, consideration of a motion to approve resolution 2023-11, a resolution authorizing the mayor to execute an operational service agreement with the Coastal Georgia Regional Commission for Public Transportation Services. Mr. Penny.
Mayor, members of the council, the long-awaited for transit system. This agreement means we're one step closer to having our transit system in Statesboro. And I do want to acknowledge that Don Massey with the Coastal Regional Commission is here tonight, so just recognize Don. We've been working with Don. And this agreement basically is a 6-month agreement that goes from January to the end of June. And it will help us to get operational. And basically what we're doing is we are agreeing to paying 50% of the cost of operations for the transit system, and which is about $284,000 that the city will pay for out of T-Splosh funds. It also does require that the riders will pay $1 per trip, and we recommend approval of the agreement with the Coastal Regional Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Penny. Any discussion by council?
Mr. Mayor, I'm hoping that our city manager might give us any kind of an update on how soon it's actually gonna happen. Best guess.
Ms. Barr, we're hoping in the next 4 weeks, we will have those buses on the road. We are in the process of getting them wrapped. And then we're also in the process of putting cameras inside and on the outside of the buses. But the buses are in Statesboro, and they are in Statesboro.
Drivers are being hired.
And the drivers are being hired. We had hired drivers, but because of the delay, those drivers were assigned to other operations. And so we're in the process of hiring new drivers. But hopefully within the next 4 weeks from tomorrow, I'll give you a call when they're ready to run.
Thank you.
All right. Any further discussion by council? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? All right, we move down to agenda item 14, consideration of a motion to approve grant of easement to Statesboro Bullock Remembrance Coalition to install a historical marker on city property adjacent to City Hall. Mr. Bennett.
Mayor and members of the council, you received a presentation from the Remembrance Coalition, Statesboro Bullock Remembrance Coalition earlier today in reference to an installation of a historical marker on city property adjacent to City Hall. The members of the committee may want to make a presentation, but we do recommend the placement of the marker right here next to City Hall. Jason Bulls has been working with the Remembrance Commission Coalition, and we think it would be appropriate to put it in that position. And it's up to council to grant these, and we do recommend it to you.
Okay. Any discussion by council?
Mr. Mayor, if I may, I'd like to just thank all of the members of the coalition who are here and all the supporters, and ask them to stand up for a minute so we can see who showed up to ask us to do this. Thank you.
Any further discussion by council? All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Let it show that agenda item 14 has passed.
Can I ask one question? Is this, we have a little small front yard out here. We already have one sign. Are y'all planning on doing a sign for each of the 9 lynchings?
No.
Because there's no way that would, okay, just the one. Okay, because that would be, we maybe get
Thank you. All right, we'll move down to agenda item 15. Consideration of a motion to approve acceptance of the 2021 staffing for adequate fire and emergency response, also known as the SAFER grant, which has been awarded to the Statesboro Fire Department. Mr. Penny, if you will, give us some insight.
Mayor and members of the council, I was looking for the exact number, but this is the third time since I've been here that we have applied for the SAFER grant. Remember, we talked about the need to add additional firefighters. As I said earlier, you added 9 a little over a year ago, and we needed to add about 21 firefighters. So with this additional 12, it will get us that additional 21 firefighters. This grant is about $2.1 million, and it will cover the cost of those firefighters for 3 years. Now, what it won't do is, pay increases and all that, but the basic salary of our firefighters will be covered for a period of 3 years. We do recommend to you that you approve the acceptance of this grant so that we can start the process of filling those positions, and we recommend it to you. And as I stated to you earlier, very proud of our staff, our chief and our staff for preparing a competitive grants. And I just simply say, if you don't accept it, we would probably be several more years before we'd ever be eligible again. And so we would recommend it.
All right, thank you, Mr. Penny. Any discussion by council? Seeing that there's no discussion, is there a motion to approve? All those in favor?
Aye.
I do want to exercise a point of privilege, if the council doesn't mind. I do want to acknowledge, and I know we discussed this during the work session, but I do want to say it during this session, the wonderful work that our public safety team, Chief Broadhead, Chief Graham, we want to thank you guys for everything that you're doing. You got some outstanding teams and all the work you guys are doing to keep this community safe. So we do want to acknowledge you guys doing this. We're going to move down to agenda item 16, which is a consideration of a motion to award a sole source purchase contract with Central Square Software in the amount of $21,450 to install onto the new Central Square infrastructure to hold infrastructure, to the old infrastructure with some run-out support. Mr. Penny.
And Mayor and members of the council, we do recommend the approval of this agreement and the expenditure of $21,450. This is critical to police operations, the data maintenance, and previously this was under SunGuard, but SunGuard was purchased by Central Square. And so we do recommend approval.
Any discussion by council? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we move down to agenda item 17, consideration of a motion to approve a contract with Vincent Industrial Services in the amount of $44,750 for railroad work with the East Jones Avenue and East Great Street sidewalk projects. Funding is from the 2018 T-SPLOST fund. Mr. Penny.
Mayor and members of the council, we do recommend the expenditure of $44,000 for Vision Industrial Services, and this is for work along the rail line. And what happens is, in order for this work to be done, we have to select a vendor from their list. But we ask for proposals or bids from the vendors, and they had 4 vendors, only 1 vendor responded. And that is Vision Industrial Services, and we do recommend approval.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Penny. Any discussion by council?
This is just preparation around the railroad tracks to get ready for sidewalks. That's what it sounds like.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Jason.
Any further discussion by council? All right, seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we'll move down to agenda item 18, which is other business from city council. Is there any other business from city council?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to do something, please.
Mhm.
I'd like to share with everybody here that today is the kickoff of a fundraising effort by First Readers, first spelled with an E. You may know that group enrolls children in Bullock County and then sends them a book every month, a free book. So it's an effort to support literacy in Bullock County children. Their fundraiser this year is to ask 6 people, 5 people and 1 goat, excuse me. There are actually 6 contestants who are going to be putting videos and pictures across Facebook and other social media asking people to vote. Every vote is $3 and every vote provides a book for a child in Bullock County. So please see it on Facebook. My character is Mother Goose. So you'll see lots of Mother Goose videos that I've created and enticed my friends into participating, some of them. You'll see folks you recognize. But vote for me. Paulette Chambers is also in the contest. She's not able to be here tonight, but she'll be doing Dr. Seuss. And there are 3 other people and the therapy goat named Moonpie. So those are your choices who to vote for. Doesn't matter who you vote for. Vote, give it money. Let's fund these books for children in Bullock County. Thank you very much for your support. And thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Vote Moonshot.
Vote Okay. Any further any announcement for council? All right, seeing that there's none, we'll go down to city manager comments.
Mayor, members of the council, I'm passing out, so I'll do one other item before I come back. I'll come back to what I just passed to you.
Okay.
I did just want to remind everyone that the State of the City address will be next Tuesday at 7 p.m. on the campus of Georgia Southern University at the
Carol Carter Recital Hall.
Carol Carter Recital Hall. So we invite Mayor and Council, Mayor Beard, the council and the public to that event. And so it's always a good event to recognize some folks that have done great things in our community. The other item, I just presented to council a request for emergency purchase for the generator at the fire station number 2. The current generator cannot, the parts cannot be acquired, and we have located a generator that will be available to us in the month of April. And I'm asking you to approve of the purchase of the 60 kW 3-phase generator from Generator Superstore at a cost of $57,877.19. And I do recommend it to you, Mayor and Council.
Thank you, Mr. Kenny. Any discussion by council? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Anything else from city manager comment?
I'm good, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay. All right, we'll move down to public comments. For public comments, we currently have Miss Annie Bellinger on our list. Ms. Bellinger, if you will come forward, please. And we want to remind everybody that we do have a 2-minute time.
My public comments tonight is considering the racism I feel that the city is somewhat responsible for. Now you take a dominant black neighborhood, the crime is almost nothing. No violent crime, none of that stuff. We are fighting to try to save that neighborhood down there. The first thing your human resource department do, find them a person coming from a city with the highest crime rate in the black neighborhood you can think of. Put them in the neighborhood. What do? The first thing they do, start on me. And I'm the one down there fighting to save the neighborhood. Try to start fights between me and my family. Try to start fights between me and the neighbors. Didn't work. Because you know what? I can give Honoré Akins credit for this one. He told me, Ann, I don't know what you keep fighting for, because you don't go no further in the jailhouse. They don't even let you go to prison. So stop fighting. And put it in the hands of the Lord, and that's what I did. Now, for a while there, you said you're going to do something for that black neighborhood. You ain't done a thing. You don't have no high crime down there. Ask Mr. Burke. Ask Mr. the chief back there. You don't have no big crimes going on down there. And I've been down there for 20 years fighting. But you know what? I'm fixing to stop fighting. I'm fixing to put it in the hands of the Lord and let the Lord fight the battle. You take, somebody kept tearing down my mailbox. The city put it back up one time, I don't know why. Maybe one of their employees tore it down or something. In 1 year's time, 5 mailboxes was tore down. I decided not to put another up. But then one day I goes to the post office to get my mail. This little black lady that works in the post office, she saw me coming, she locks the door. So I stood there for a minute. This white man came, stood at the front door. She gets up, come back, unlock the door, let him in, and shut the door in my face. The black guy that was in there told her, said, you go let her back and let her in here. So she did. But it already destroyed me. Because one of my black women gonna shut the door in my face. You think I got any use for? No, I don't have any use for. I goes to the hospital, trying to get some tests done, some work done that needed to be done, that I wanted done up here instead of in Savannah. What do I do?
I want to remind you of the time. There is a 2-minute time limit, and you have exceeded that. So if you will, we'll go ahead and start wrapping it up.
Say what now?
You've exceeded your 2-minute time limit, so we're going to need you to go ahead and wrap it up.
Good.
Thank you. All right. We'll move down to agenda item 21, which is consideration of a motion to enter into executive session to discuss personnel matters in accordance with OCGA 50-14-3. Is there anything else other than litigation as well? Okay, and litigation. In accordance with OCGA 50-14-3B. Is there a motion to go into executive session? All those in favor?
Aye.